cross product of a vector. So how can we find cross product? Suppose I am given a vector v. Suppose I am given, let's say, alpha 1I plus alpha 2I, okay, sorry, j, and therefore plus alpha 3 what? Alpha 3k. And therefore, let's say I'm given vector v2. Let's say I'm given sigma what? Sigma 1I and plus sigma 2j plus what? Plus sigma 3k. So what is the cross product of this and this? So the cross product of this is the same thing as I, j, and what? And k. And I'm going to insert alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, because this alpha 1 belongs to I, alpha 2 belongs to a j, and also alpha 3 belongs to k. And therefore also I will say this sigma 1 belongs to I, this belongs to j. So I have to say sigma 1 and sigma 2 and also sigma 3. So to find the cross product of this, I have to first delete this and delete this. I will use the matrix. Delete this and delete this. I'll first delete this and delete this. I will only use this. So I will say I into bracket this multiplied by this, which is alpha 2 and what? And sigma 3 minus what? Minus sigma 2 multiplied by what? Or minus alpha 3 multiplied by sigma 2. And therefore I have to say this is, I'll have positive, negative, and positive. So the next thing that I'm going to say, I have to say plus, then I'll put j. I'll delete this line that I put. So and then I'm looking for what? For the j. So as you can see, if I'm looking for j, I will delete this and I will delete this. I'm only left with this, 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 and this, just like matrix. So I'll say this multiplied by this. I'll say this alpha multiplied by what? Multiplied by this alpha 1 multiplied by sigma 3. Sigma 3 minus this and this. Alpha 3 multiplied by sigma what? Sigma 1. So okay, sorry, this is negative, and here is positive. So therefore this is j. I have to say plus k. I have to come for k. If I come for k, I will delete this, I will delete this. I'm left with this, 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 and this. So I will say this multiplied by this. I will say alpha 1 multiplied by sigma 2 minus what? This and this. So I will say alpha 2 multiplied by sigma what? Sigma 1. So this is the what? This is the cross product of v1 and what? v1 and this v2, guys. So if you check the description of this video, you will see the introduction to determinant, how to find the determinant of matrix, so it may help you in solving the cross products. So guys, you have to take note of these three pairs, as you all know, I, j, and what? And k. In what? In dot product, I explained that if I say I multiplied by I dot I is the same thing as 1, and also I dot j is the same thing as 0. So, but in what? In cross product, I cross what? I cross j is the same thing as negative what? J cross I, which is automatically equals to what? K. And therefore j cross k is the same thing as negative what? K and j, negative k dot what? Dot j, and it's automatically equals to, we have k, we have j. The only I we are not having, so therefore it is high. We have j, we have I, so we are not having k, so therefore it is equals to k. And therefore the next thing, which is which is k cross what? Cross I, is the same thing as negative I cross what? Cross k. The one we are not having here, which is what? J. So, and therefore if I said I cross what I, it is equals to J cross J, it is equals to K cross what K, is the same thing as 0. So this is how cross product is. So now what will be the angle of these two cross products? The angle of these two cross products is the same thing as V1 cross what V2, is the same thing as magnitude of V1 and magnitude of what V2 sine what sine theta. So what of this n? This n, it indicates what? It indicates the what? It indicates the unit perpendicular. The unit perpendicular to what? To the plane. This n stands for unit perpendicular to the plane. If I'm going to find the angle, so I will now say by dividing both sides by this, by magnitude of V1 and V2, magnitude of V1 and V2 will cancel magnitude of V1 and V2, and this also I will divide by this, and therefore I will left with only this. But let me show you physically so that you will not be confused, guys. So therefore this is what is same thing as magnitude of this and magnitude of this, sine what? Sine theta, by dividing both sides by this, V1 and V2, V1. This will go with this. At the end, I'll now say sine what? Sine theta, it should now be equals to V1 cross V2 divided by magnitude of V1 and what? And V2. And to find theta, I will now say theta is the same thing as sine inverse of this, which is V1 cross V2 divided by this V1 magnitude of V2. So this is a cross product formula, and therefore there is one thing that I want you to know, which is, but let me have some space. So you have to note that the magnitude of what? V1 cross what? Cross V2 represent the magnitude of this report represent the magnitude of this represent the area of the what? The area of the parallelogram. So let me have a sketch for you. Let's say we have a parallelogram. Yes, and therefore we have something like this. We have angle, and this is V2, and therefore the height should now be equal to the magnitude of vector V2 and the magnitude of what? Of sine theta. And also this is what? This is this B2. So from this diagram, area is the same thing as base times what? Base times height, and therefore the area is the same thing as magnitude of V1 and what? Magnitude of V2 vector, and also the magnitude of what? Of sine theta. And another relation that you might know is that the area of the parallelogram, the area of what? The area of parallelogram, which is the same thing as magnitude of this cross magnitude of V1 cross what? Cross V2. And therefore you have to know the area of triangle. What is the area of triangle? Let's say the area of triangle. Area of triangle is the same thing as the half of the area of parallelogram, which is V1 cross V2. So you have to take note of these formulas. Make sure you write them down, including the angle. So this is the area of what? This is the area of triangle, and this is the area of parallelogram, and also the area that says base times height from the diagram. So therefore note that this represents the area of the parallelogram from this diagram. Let's say a parallelogram from what? From the figure below. From this figure. So let's have some example under this. So the question says we are to find the parallelogram and triangle with vertices as what? As this value of P, this Q, and what? And R. So don't forget, we already have the formula of what? Of the parallelogram, and also we have the formula of what? Of triangle. The area of the parallelogram, let's say solution. The area, let's say, of parallelogram is the same thing as what? We have PQR, so therefore the same thing as PQ cross what? Cross PR. But we have to first find what is PQ. PQ is the same thing as Q minus what? Q minus P. So what is Q minus P? Q minus P is the same thing as what? This is Q minus C, minus 1 minus this, it will give me minus what? Minus 3. And therefore if I say 0 minus this, it will give me minus what? Minus 2. 0 minus 2, it will give me minus 2, and 2 minus this, it will give me what? 2. So therefore I have to say PQ should now be what? Negative 3, negative 2, and 2. And then I have to find PR. PR is the same thing as R minus P, which is the same thing as R minus, where is R? R and P. 0 minus this is the same thing as negative 2. 4 minus this is the same thing as 2. 3 minus 0 is the same thing as 3. So this is the same thing as negative 2, 2, and what? And 3. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to find the cross product. The cross product of what? This vectors and what? And this vector, which is I, J, and what? And K. And I have negative what? Negative 3, negative 2, and what? 2. I have negative 2, 2, negative 2, 2, and what? And 3. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I will delete this. I will say I into what? This is I and J. I will delete this. I will delete this. I am left with only this, and this. So I will say minus 2 multiplied by what? By 3, and therefore subtract by this and this, which is 2 multiplied by what? By 2. So I'm done with what? I. The next thing to do is that I have to say minus J. J, I will delete this, I will delete this. I'm left with only this, and this. This multiplied by this, I will say negative 3 multiplied by what? 3, this and this. And then I will say minus this and this. I will say 2 multiplied by negative 2. And therefore I have to say plus. Then I will do for K. So for K, I will delete this, I will delete this. I will have this, and this. This multiplied by this, I will now say negative 3 multiplied by 2 minus this and this, minus this and this, which is negative 2, negative 2. Yes. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that I have to say at the end, this multiplied by this is the same thing as negative 6 minus 2 multiplied by 2, I have negative sign here. 2 multiplied by 2, which is 4, is the same thing as negative 10 with what? With my I. So therefore at the end I have, this should now become negative what? I. Yes, I'm done with this. The next thing to do, I have to this multiplied by this, which is negative 9, minus this multiplied by this, which is what? Negative 4, and I'll have plus. So minus 9 plus 4. So minus 9 plus 4 is the same thing as what? Is the same thing as negative 5. But don't forget, we have negative sign. Negative should now become plus 5j. The next thing to do is that I have to set this multiplied by this. I'll get negative 6 minus this times this. I'll get positive what? Positive 4. At the end, this should now be minus this minus this. It will now become minus what? Minus 10k. So at the end, minus 10k. This goes, this goes. So this is the cross product. I hope you're already done with this. You can copy it. You can pause the video and copy. I'm asked to find the parallelogram formula. This is the parallelogram formula in magnitude. So I have to find the magnitude of this. What will be the magnitude of this? Negative 10 squared plus what? 5 squared plus negative 10 squared. 10 squared is the same thing as 100, and therefore 5 squared is the same thing as 25. So let me put it in all. So at the end, I will end with 15. So the next thing to do is that we are asked to find the triangle. We all know that the triangle is the same thing as half multiplied by the area of a parallelogram. So therefore I should put it here or here. Okay, let me just put it. Area of triangle is the same thing as half multiplied by the area of parallelogram, which is 15. At the end, I will get what? 15 divided by 2, 7.5. So guys, I hope you get this. At the end, I will say the area of this, I will say area of parallelogram, it is 15, and area of T, which is triangle, it is what? 7.5. So that I'll have space to answer the rest of the question. So the next question is cross product. Feel free to pause the video. It is just a cross product, guys. I, J, K. I will have 2, negative 2, negative 1, and I'll have 1, 1, and also 1. So don't forget, I will delete this, I will delete this. I'm left with only this. So I will now say, let me just multiply directly. Minus 2 multiplied by 1, minus 2 times, because I'm only left with this, and this. Minus 2 multiplied by 1, minus 2. Then minus 1. Yes, we have negative here. Also minus 1 times 1, minus 1. And I'll have minus 2 plus 1. Then I will left with what? Negative 1, which is the same thing as negative I. So guys, don't be confused, be smart. So the next thing to do is that I have to say J. I will delete this, I will delete this. I'm left with only this, I'm left with this, I'm left with this, I'm left with this. 2 multiplied by 1, which is 2, minus 1 multiplied by minus 1. Minus 1 is the same thing as this should now become plus 2 plus 1, which is 3. And don't forget, I have what? The rule is positive, negative, positive. Don't forget, I have negative sign. So then I will say this multiplied by negative 1 multiplied by this 3. I will end with 3, negative 3j. the next thing that I'm going to do, guys, is that I have to say, already here it is plus, but let me just put the plus like this. I'm looking for k. I will delete this, I will delete this. I'm left with this, left with this, left with this, left with this. 2 multiplied by 2, which is 2. 2 multiplied by negative 2, it is, I have to say minus 2. And this should now become 4 and plus 4k. So that's all. So the cross product of this, find A cross B. Find A cross B, which is the same thing as negative I, negative 3j plus 4k. Yes, we are done with that. So the next thing to do is that the question says find the direction of A cross B. A cross B, if A, and this, don't forget I said A cross B, guys. I'm going to find the direction of what? Of A cross B. So I have to say A cross what? Cross B. My A, which is I, cross what? Cross G. So A cross B is the same thing as what? As K. So therefore the direction of what? The direction is what? Is along the what? Is along what? The positive what? X axis. X axis. So B says that also A cross B. So I have A, which is I, plus K, plus what? Plus J. Okay, sorry, I have to say cross what? Cross J. So this should now be equal to negative I plus what? Negative I plus K. Someone might ask how. So you have to take a note. You have to take note. I have I have G, I have K. As usual, I have those things. So A, I'm giving A as what? I and K. I'm not giving what? G. So I'm only have I is the same thing as 1, J, which is 0, K, which is what? 1, guys. And therefore I have B. B is only J, so J should not be 1, and here will be 0, here will be 0, guys. Guys, try to be smart. So for I'll now say I'll delete this, I'll delete this. 0 times 0, 0, 0 minus 1. So I'll say 0 minus 1. Then I have negative sign, I'll put my G. I'll delete this, I'll delete this. 1 times 0, 0, this, and this time 0, it will be 0. So therefore, it will be 0 at J. So I have to say plus, then I will do for K. For K, I will delete this, I will delete this. 1 times 1, 1, 0 times 0, 0, which is 1 minus 0. At the end, I will get negative I. 0 minus 1 is minus 1 minus 1 times I, which is negative I. This will become 0, and therefore I will say plus what? Plus 1 minus 0, which is K. Yes, guys, it turned back to this. So please don't be confused. Don't be confused. Try to be smart, try to be smart, try to be smart. So then the last question, the last but not the least, also it says C cross product of this, it is equal to I plus K cross what? J plus what? Plus K. So the final solution to this, which is what? Negative I, negative J plus what? Plus K. So let's verify it. We have I, we have J, we have K, and from A we have 1. We are not having only, we have all but we don't have G. So this will be 0 and this will be 1. And we have everything but we don't have I. So 1 and what? And 1. Don't forget for I'll delete this, I'll delete this. This time I'll get 0 minus 1. Then I have to say plus what? Plus J. For J, I'll delete this, I'll delete this. 1 times I'll get 1 minus 0, guys. 1 times 1, 1, 0 times 1, which is 0. Again, 1 minus 0. And I'll say plus K. So this K, I'll have this. I'll delete this, I'll delete this. 1 times 1, 1, which is 1 minus 0. At the end, this I'll have negative 1. And therefore, I'll have what? if I said, okay, sorry, here I have negative sign because positive, negative, and positive. So this is positive, this is negative, this is positive. So I said this is negative 1 times positive I, which is negative, and this I will have 1 multiplied by negative j, which is negative j, plus what? Plus 1. So guys, this is the same thing as this. So guys, try to be smart. Please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks you for watching. Have a nice day. I hope this video for cross product is very helpful to you guys. It's one thing that I want you to know, which is in what? Which is in cross product angle. If you check the description of this video, you will see where I pasted a link for dot product. The same procedure to find the angle in what? In cross product, which is angle is the same thing as what? Sine what? Sine inverse of what? Let's say we have v1 dot v2 divided by magnitude v1 and magnitude v2. Guys, it is all the same way. So guys, don't forget to subscribe, press the bell icon so that you will be notified immediately if I uploaded a new content. Thanks you for watching. Have a nice day. Don't forget to comment.